Chevron will lay off 15% to 20% of its global workforce by the end of 2026. The U.S. oil company said on Wednesday as it seeks to cut costs, simplify its business, and complete a major acquisition. The number two U.S. oil producer has faced production challenges, including cost overruns and delays in the large Kazakhstan oil field project. Meanwhile, its $53 billion deal to acquire oil producer Hess and gain a foothold in Guyana's lucrative oil field is in limbo due to a court battle with larger rival ExxonMobil, which has outperformed it with production growth, achieving record production in Guyana and the biggest oil field in the United States. Chevron has said it is targeting up to $3 billion in cost cuts through 2026 from leveraging technology, asset sales, and changing how and where work is performed. At the end of 2023, Chevron employed 40,212 people across its operations. A layoff of 20% of total employees would be about 8,000 people. Those figures exclude another roughly 5,400 employees of Chevron service stations. Weak margins in the production of gasoline and diesel also hurt Chevron's fourth quarter earnings, as its refining businesses posted a loss for the first time since 2020, raising pressures on CEO Mike Wirth. Shares of Chevron declined 1.3% in afternoon trading. The broader S&P 500 energy sector index fell 2.4%. Chevron shares are up 5.6% year to date. Chevron is taking action to simplify our organizational structure, execute faster and more effectively, and position the company for stronger long-term competitiveness, said Mark Nelson, vice chairman of Chevron, in a statement. We do not take these actions lightly and will support our employees through the transition. Let me finish reading this. The company told employees during an internal town hall that they can begin opting for buyouts now through April or May, according to a source familiar with the matter. Chevron will reorganize its business and announce a new leadership structure next 2 weeks, the source said. The oil industry has been consolidating in recent years, focusing on mergers and operational efficiency more than drilling new wells. Before we break this story down a little bit, I find it incredible because, this is Chevron globally, right? So they're talking about laying off anywhere from 8 to 9,000 people. I know they said they have 500 plus who work at these different stations, and they're not counting them as part of the 40,000 that they employ, but they should be counted as well. But before we start, isn't it incredible that you have a story like this where the second largest gas station, the only one behind ExxonMobil, or the one right behind ExxonMobil, is going to lay off thousands and thousands and thousands of people, right? Put them out of work globally. And you don't see one headline or story about this on CNN, on MSNBC, on Fox News. Maybe they might flash a little, bulletin that says something for a second, but for the most part, it doesn't get talked about. And that's really insane. Regardless of what your political beliefs are, when companies, especially big ones, again, second largest oil company, when they announce they're laying off large groups of people, thousands of workers just will not have a job by the end of next year. That's insane. That should be talked about. That affects a lot of people. And the fact that it doesn't get discussed is just nuts. But as we go through this story, every time I see these things, they talk about, they have weak margins in the production of gas and diesel, right? This hurt their fourth quarter earnings, so they had 3 months of not making as much profit as before. The refining business had a loss for the first time in 5 years, or 4 years rather, because this is from last year, so it was a 4-year period. Their shares declined, all these different things, and it's like, what always needs to be understood is that Chevron, because I'm looking at this again, they had a loss in one area and a decrease in shares by 1%. And then the broader energy sector index fell 2.4%. What people need to understand is that a big, giant, enormous company like Chevron is not going to see a 1%, a single digit drop, and then tomorrow file for bankruptcy. It always works out this way. The CEOs of these companies have a desire to make money, and whatever they feel they can't get in terms of profit, right? Because people, gas is an essential thing that people need to, just drive places, but a lot of people have been cutting back on the amount of gas they use, either only going to the gas station when they need to perform essential tasks like go to work or run some errands. But even my point I'm making is that a company as big as Chevron can see a decrease, can see less people using their product, buying their product, and they're not going to file for bankruptcy tomorrow. They're too big to fail. They're not as big as somewhere like Amazon, but whenever you have a business that provides a utility, there's always going to be people who need what you're selling or what you're offering. So what they feel like they can't get in profit because people are consuming less gas, they will make up for by massive layoffs, right? So, okay, well, we have to pay these people 30,000. Let's just say it's minimum wage, 30,000 a year on average if they're in the U.S. Okay, well, and that's assuming they're full time. Well, if we cut thousands of them, that should give us a few millions back from the amount of money that we weren't able to make. And oh yeah, we'll put out some little fluffy press statement about how we took this very, very seriously, and we're going to support them during this transition. But you know damn well that no love is lost from Chevron in terms of, we have to put all of our employees are going to go on unemployment, or we're going to help them get another job. They don't care. It doesn't matter to them. They have to feign concern and regret with these public statements, whereas behind the scenes, biggest area of concern is making a profit for themselves. And even if they make a bunch of money, right? They lost 1% of a share. Who gives a damn? You're not going to go going to suddenly be out of business because of a slight decrease in profits. But whatever it takes to keep stuffing their own pockets, they will do, and they will do it at the expense of the people that make their little crappy business run in the first place. We saw the same thing with UPS, right, about a year ago. But it's incredible how just that, like, companies can announce thousands of people will be out of a job by the end of next year, and you don't see anyone talking about it. And I've talked about my own struggles with getting a new job because my current one is barely using me. I at one point, I don't know if I applied to Chevron, but I know I applied to some gas stations, and you hear radio silence. I guess maybe that's part of the reason they might have had some hiring freeze that they didn't announce while they were planning on chopping the jobs, the people that already were employed by them. So they couldn't take in any new person because they're trying to figure out who they already have that they can get rid of. God. I feel like every week now there's a story of this company is firing this many people, this company is closing this many stores. There is a real rising costs, I think, are insane. I talk about the cost of living is out of this world. Food costs are up, gas prices are up. You can't even get a damn apartment without having to bunk with one or two other people for this something that's this large. But there is a real backlash by the consumer against the way things are. Like when I said the rotten society, there are people who recognize at least aspects of it as like something being wrong with it, and they're boycotting it by just not purchasing this stuff as much as they used to, or in some cases not bothering with it entirely. And these companies, they can keep playing these stupid games, but you can't fire every damn body. So it's sad. I feel awful for the 8,000 9,000 people that are going to be out of a job. And this should get talked about by more sources and places, because when that many people get fired from somewhere, it's a sign of changing times. I just wish it meant change that actually made the employers not be so disgusting toward the people that work for them.